of how to edit a simple sequence. I'm going to open Final Cut Express. I have my camera attached with a FireWire cable. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a new project, File, New Project, and this brings up, this is what's called my bin. Everything I capture is going to go up here. This is my viewer window. Everything that I double click is going to come up into this viewer window, and I can choose how much of that I want to drag into my timeline. This timeline will show up here. The video will show up here, and this is the order that I put them in. So I'll show you how that looks. First thing we're going to do, after my camera is queued up and ready to go, I'm going to go File, Capture, not Import, Capture. And it's going to bring this window up, and this shows the video that I'm going to capture. When I'm ready to go, I just click Now down here in this window, just like that. And I'm going to watch all the footage that I upload. At this time, I have the settings set so that I'm not going to hear what's on the video, but I will after it's all captured. So you'll recall this is the footage that I got. I wanted to have one action done the same time, from 5 different angles. It has to have an example of framing. I don't want any jump cuts, no violating the 180-degree rule, and a variety of shots. Some of the shots that I wanted was a close-up, an establishing shot, a medium shot, and an angle shot. So that would have been my establishing shot. This would be my close-up. You can see my fingers right up close. Then I think I got just a video of my face for another close-up. Went through, did the same action again with the tape so that I can cut on the action. All of your cuts need to be on the action. Tape wasn't cooperating with me that well. So here is my angled shot. We chose a high angled shot because we want me to look weak, stupid, little. So I go through and do the same action. Now after this we have our framing shot between the tower and the speaker of the computer. It just adds a little visual interest to the shot. Then an extreme close-up, so we can get the detail in my beautiful face. Alright, when that's done, I hit escape. And then you'll see that that video came up here into the bin. I have this ready to go. If I double click on this, you can see the video right here in the viewer. Now, before I just drag this down into here, into the timeline, I want to pick where it's going to begin and end. I'm going to make sure I can hear it. I hit spacebar for play, or you have the controls right here. Here's play also. Spacebar,
I'll just go like this.
and I can drag the playhead to where it's going to start. So I'll start right here. When I have it where I want it to start, you can use the arrow keys to go back and forth frame by frame. If I hold shift and arrow, it'll go back 5 to 10 frames. I think it's 5. So this is where I want the video to start. When I push I on the keyboard, that's my in point. That's where I want it to start. I'll go ahead and hit spacebar. And remember, I want to cut on the action, so I hit spacebar as I'm reaching for the tape. Just like that. I'm going to stop right there. Cut on the action, O for out. Now it's only going to take that section of the video that we've captured. So I grab onto this picture, drag it down here into the timeline, and it should be good to go. There's my first clip. Now the next one in order, I'm going to put the playhead right at the end of this, so here in this window we can see where it ends. I'll click back up into this window, and we'll get the next shot, which I think we had a close-up of the tape, right? So as my hand is right about, say that's good? I don't know if you guys can see that as well, but my hand's still in the same position in space, hopefully, as my hand was in the last clip. So I'm going to hit I for in. What do I hit next? Space bar. And I'm going to stop right there. And then what for out? Oh, pretty easy. So I'll drag that in. Hit that right here. Now I can watch the progress of this in this window. If I drag this playhead back, hit spacebar, we can see if this actually matches up. So the first two match. Okay, let's continue. Let's have this, the third one. Let's see. We might as well go from here. Let's try this view right here. So we can see in this window right here that I'm holding it in front of my face, ready to put it onto my nose. So I'll go back just a few frames, right about here. I for in, spacebar, O for out. As I'm starting to put it on, we'll find my framing shot. You notice my hand is in a different position here now. Here's a problem, right? My left hand is putting it on top in this shot, my right hand in this shot. Let's see if we have something that matches a little better. This is why it's important to make sure your action matches. So, looks like I did right hand on top most of the times. Let's just go ahead and see. Maybe you won't even notice it. We'll just see
let's
here.
now.
You can go back to here. Find out where I put it on. We'll just have my hands coming off. We'll see how that works. I and O. Drag that in. It should butt up against it. Now let me show you some other features that we have here. You'll notice we have one video track right here and two video tracks. It's recorded in stereo. Over here we have a feature that's called snapping. If I hold this over here, you can see it says snapping. If I unclick that, then this won't snap into place the way I want it to, and I'm going to have to kind of hunt for frames. You may want to use this feature, and sometimes you might not want to use it. I want this to snap into place for now. You can see, just going to go right to it. If I want to disconnect the audio from the video, let's say I don't want this audio underneath. If I select that, you see it's going to select the whole thing. Right over here is another selection called linked selection. If I unclick that, then I can click either the video or the audio and hit delete on the keyboard to delete one or the other of those. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and link those back up. The last bit of footage I'm going to get is me looking around all proud. Just like that. Now we should have 5 clips in a simple sequence. If I hit spacebar, they should line up. Does it look seamless, like it happened all at once? There are a few things that we might adjust. Like for instance, I started to put it up there and then it looks like all of a sudden it's up. So let's just adjust this a little bit. If I move this out a little bit and reel out this footage just a tiny bit. Now here's where I might not want to use snapping because I'm like, it's either all or none. So I'll take my snapping, I'll turn it off. It's N, keyboard shortcut. And just go a few frames backward like this. Then I can right click there, close the gap, and see if that's a little more. There. It looks a little better. Didn't go as quick for that one shot. Now that that's all done, I'm going to show you one last little thing. If I want to put some music in, those of you who want to learn how to do music and titles, I can go into GarageBand. GarageBand is down here on the screen. It looks like a guitar. If I click on this, you can either start a new project or just open one that already exists. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to go down here and make sure that this loops browser is selected. I want to be able to see these loops. Now in some of these, if you go to orchestral or something like that, we can hear different types of music. But let's try some, let's make our own music instead. So I'm going to go to, yeah, what the heck, let's do some orchestral. Let's just find something. Boys choir. Okay, there's a cello. We'll just grab that. If I drag that up here, I can loop it out up at the top of this by grabbing that when I see the circle and just loop it a few times. So now I'll let you guys hear this. It's just, I'm going to turn off the metronome. I'm going to unclick orchestral, go up to beats, and I'll find a beat of some sort. Let's just go to, yeah, sure, breaks bump beat. I'll stick that up here. I'll loop it once. Alright, drag that back, hit spacebar. You can add all sorts of different instruments if you want to. It's pretty easy to do. But when you're done with this, let's say that I've created a song. I'm just going to drag it out a few more, just like that. I'm going to go up to Share. I'm going to export the song to the disk. It's going to turn it into an MP3 file. Hit Export. On our desktop, we should have a folder called Music. I'm going to call this Tape. Oops, it's hard to type with one hand here. Then hit Save. Creates the mix down. Now I go back into Final Cut Express. Those of you who don't know my Macs, I have them set up so that if you go up to the upper corners, I can see my desktop by going in the lower right corner. I can see my all my windows open in the upper right corner. So I'm going to go back to Final Cut Express just like this. File, Import, Files, or Command I. On the desktop we have our music folder. Hopefully all of you will be saving things in the right place so we don't have a cluttered desktop like I have here. And we called it Tape, MP3. When I choose this, it's going to come up here into an audio file. I can edit that however I want to, or I can just drag it in. Sometimes if you don't let it settle, it's going to do something like that. But now, you'll see this little red line that goes across the top here. This means that my audio is not going to, I'm not going to be able to hear it until it's rendered. It'll just beep like that. So, in order to render that, I have to go to Sequence Render. Yeah, whatever. I'm just saying that I haven't already saved it. So, now we're going to listen to this with music. Just like that. I'm going to go ahead and take off the last little bit of music there by dragging it back. Now, if I want to add titles to this, this is what I do. Under here on the viewer window is a little A. If I go down here to text, I can create a text page in this viewer window. To manipulate this text, I go to the Controls tab up here, double click on this, and I'm going to write board in class. Now I can change the font, I can change the size of the font, I can go up here to the effects window and put the motion window and put a drop shadow on the title if I want to, but it's going to be over black, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, where did my text go? Okay, board in class. I don't know why it looks like this. Did I change my tracking? I did. That's what I did. I want this to be 0. Accidentally scrolled on there. So that's what I want it to look like. I'm going to move this to the side just a little bit. I'm going to drag this in over the top of it because I'm going to manipulate it a little bit. I'm going to drag it to the right length, just like so. Snapping is not on right now, so I hit N and get it back. I'll just clean it up a little bit. Now, there we go. So you can see how this video works. One last thing that I want to show you while I'm recording this video is down here, this is going to show clip overlays. If I click on this, it should be set to default on most of those computers back there. But if I click on that, you're going to see that these all these get a line on them. The audio gets a line and the video gets a line. This is the amount of audio or the amount of video that you have on your clip. So if I drag this up or down, you'll get less or more of the natural sound, or less or more of the music that I've imported, or less or more of the video. And to illustrate this, this is called our toolbox down over here, or your tool palette. It's up here in the window. If you don't see it, make sure that's checked. Down here in the tool palette, I'm going to select the pen tool. And I'm going to create a mark right here and a mark at the end of that text. And I'll drag that second one down. I'll make 2 at the beginning and drag the first one up. This is saying the amount of video is going to go from 0 to 100%. So watch what happens. We have a black screen. It fades in and fades out. Just like that. When this whole thing is done, when you've watched it and you're satisfied that you've made a good sequence, the last thing you're going to do, and this is very important, you're going to go to File, Export as a QuickTime movie. By the way, while you're working on this, you might want to save the project to begin with after you've imported everything, and save early, save often. Because sometimes these have a tendency to, if the computer crashes, the program crashes, you might lose all your stuff. So I'm going to call this Wood Sequence. And on each of those computers should be, on the desktop, there should be a folder that says Sequence and your trimester in it. This one here, all you have to do is put your name. You can see this one, I've already done one here. I'll just call this one Wood 2. Just like that. We'll know their sequences if they're in the sequence file. Then I hit Save. It's going to create the audio and video and save this as a QuickTime movie. That way we can use this, we can upload it onto YouTube, we can put it on Venom News, all sorts of stuff. So I sequence T1, and I'll show you how you can preview it just by clicking on this, or if I double click it, it will show me the full screen version of it in QuickTime. Okay. Try to restart recording with the lower resolution. Okay. So it's saying my audio resolution is choppy. That's basically all of the simple sequence assignment. And I'll help you if you need help, but I'm going to post this to YouTube and give you guys the link so you can watch this at any time.